Welcome once again back to the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. Today, I am exceedingly excited about bringing you this amazing woman who really transforms people's lives in such loving leadership. And when I went through all her information to see if she would be a good fit for this podcast, I just felt my soul sing. I did. And so I'm really, really looking forward to this meaningful conversation. And as you know, this is a place where truth is told and that we talk about love in a way that we expand our heart, we access more courage, and we look at this power of possibility and opportunity within our lives to tell the truth, to have transformation, transmutation within our lives, and then transmission. So be able to shine our light brightly on the world. So let me introduce you to her. Her name is Dr. Patricia Timerman Barbosa Silva. Now that is a mouthful. And she is an incredible psychotherapist, author, and powerful guide in the realm of communication, emotional patterns, and inner healing. Does that sound amazing? And her work with Advocate to Create and her book, Why Are We Fighting? Actionable Strategies for Effective Communication. There it is. Oh, there it is. And Dr. Timerman helps individuals and leaders understand the hidden dynamics beneath conflict and connection. Her signature IAP model is intention, action, perception. I love it. And that truly offers what she beautifully calls the Google Translate of communication. So for the audience who's listening right now or watching on YouTube, if you've ever wondered why good intentions still lead to misunderstandings or how self-talk shapes every relationship in your life, this conversation will open new awareness and deep, deep compassion as well. So Dr. Timerman, I'm so happy that you are here. And thank you for saying yes to be on my podcast.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here. You're very good for my ego, let me tell you. I feel amazing right now.
I think the love's just transmuting over the airwaves from Victoria, British Columbia to where you are today in Seattle. I know that.
Yeah.
So the segment one where I really want to go is really understanding the mind beneath the message. So if you wouldn't mind just taking us back to this beginning part of this purposeful, passionate mission and journey into psychotherapy and communication. So what was it that really sparked you, created fascination with this mind-human patterns?
You know, it's an interesting question because my journey didn't begin there. My journey kind of took me there. Even when I kind of rejected it, it still kind of took me there. So growing up, I had been molded into going into medical school. Right? Like in my family, like my grandpa always wanted me to go into medical school. And there are certain professions that were sanctioned, let's say, in the family. Interestingly, he worked in fashion and he created his business in Brazil and creating fabrics and textiles, which is very out there and different from the sanctioned professions of being a medical doctor, an attorney, or an engineer or in business, right? My sister's an attorney. My middle brother works in as a banker, and this is from my mother's side. When I'm talking about my maternal grandpa, and I ended up becoming a different type of doctor. But So as I was doing, when I say I rejected it, when I was at NYU and I'm doing pre-med, I looked at intro to psych or intro to political science because pre-med is not a major. I did both and I said no to psych. And my major was in political science. Oh. And so when I tell you like this kind of chose me because I was applying to medical schools and then I decided I wasn't 100% sure. A couple of things were happening, like let me do a master's, let me buy myself time. And I was looking at a master's in education. I was working in Miami-Dade College. And something about their university's dual in mental health counseling and marriage and family therapy. I don't know any other way but to say it. It spoke to me.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I got to do this. Again, to me, I was just buying time in order to apply back to medical school. Graduated, got my master's, was working at an immigration law firm while I was doing my master's. Hence a lot of my work in the immigration field. But I was going to go back to medical school and I realized I'm in love with the mind. I really am. Like I work a lot there. The body and the mind are very intertwined. We look at studies in epigenetics, neuroplasticity, understanding power opposing and how they are so linked. Our mind gives our body a message and our body responds. Yes. Right? And so even in a study, there's this amazing oncologist that I know, and we were talking about one of the studies that he did on positivity or not positivity, but optimism and pessimism in your treatment in cancer and the significant results that came out of it, right? So our positive thinking epigenetics shows that it affects our body's response. Yes. So I fell in love with the mind.
Yeah. Oh, we have this in common. You and I have this in common. I often say I am madly in love with the mind, in learning about what the absolute incredible miracles, opportunities that can happen from one thought.
Yeah.
From one shift in thought. So you go, because we're going to dance here, you and I.
I can see that. I can see that. Okay. I'm super excited. I hope that all of your viewers get so into this as we are about to right now. But I love what you said, because sometimes when I am just thinking, and sometimes we have a thought, but that thought can have smaller molecules of thoughts in it. It doesn't just stop there. Like, I can't do this. Okay, why can't I do this? Is there something that I can do within the thing that I'm telling myself that I cannot do? And part of me wonders, is there an infinite amount of molecules of thoughts that I get to choose the one that I want to focus on? Or is there a finite number? That's an answer I haven't gotten a question to yet. I do want to believe there's a finite number sometimes. I think it depends on what it is, because if not, there's always a different possibility, but not to everything. Just like I'm going to go somewhere else for a second, and there's a reason for it. Maybe a darker space, but there's a reason. I have a rule in therapy. I always tell my clients, comes to my mind, comes out through my mouth. So I'm going to adhere to that rule in podcast world. When we talk, I work a lot with grief, and I work mostly with suicide grief. And one of the things when we talk about suicide prevention, I say not every suicide is preventable, just like not every cancer is preventable, right? Some cancers, if you catch it really early on, there's treatment. Some cancers, just by the type of it, there is treatment or there isn't. Some just buys time, It's the same thing with suicide grief and suicide prevention. So that's when I say, I don't know that every molecule of thought is infinite. I think it depends upon it. Some might have a finite number, but I like the idea that we can always break it down. What I can and cannot do can be broken down into little tasks within it. Does that make sense?
Total sense. And my entire life mission, I was given this key when I was 18 years old. I am now 67 years young. And she taught me about thought. She said, what we become decided on to think above the line is curiosity, wonder, possibility, solution, opportunity, trust, faith, purpose, and focused on that ultimate decision on what we want and where we want to go. So I am tracking with you, and, thought can be such a complex understanding with so many different tentacles or levels in which you are saying. And, I think that a lot of people get lost there. That's where they suffer. I mean, if there's any mission that I'm on, it's to end suffering in the world. Because my mom had schizophrenia, just to let you know. She had 3 nervous breakdowns. She also had bipolar. She lived till she was 93. Her between 80 and 93 was her best part of her life. Okay. Which is magnificent. And, I think there's just so many people suffering in this world that have an opportunity of being curious and having a sense of wonder while you're listening to this podcast right now. Is there will be some ideas, concepts, and solutions for you if you are one of those people, or if you know of someone, because, you have made this your life mission. I can feel it inside my body as you speak. This is your living legacy. This is mine, this podcast, to bring more love into the world, because there's definitely a requirement here that this sort of happen.
I love what you're saying, because it is a calling in a way, right? Like we going into the profession in mental health, with all respect, we don't go for the money and glory, right? You go because you really love what you do. And when I was putting my book out, and the person that was guiding me in publishing the book asked me the simple question of, why do you want the book out there? And I said, because I want people to know. Right? The intention, action, perception model, the IAP model, I am a big fan of actionable strategies, right? I understand the theory. How do I put that in practice? Hence the reason that I'm like, there are things that they are simple, and it's about training our mind, because we often think in absolutes, because we're taught to think in absolutes, but it doesn't have to be that way. And sometimes, like, a single example, one of the strategies, I think the first strategies I ever created for the IAP model, I call it the rule of 3 interpretations, right? A fact happens, something happens. For some unforeseen, I don't understand the reason for it, the majority of us will think worst case scenario. Automatic thought, worst case scenario, right? My partner didn't call me, or he's going to break up with me.
Yes.
So I asked to identify what are 2 other possible interpretations of the same fact. So for balance sake, if I think worst case scenario, let me think best case scenario. So he's not calling me because he's planning a surprise party for me. I don't know. And then a third likely case scenario. He's super busy. His phone died. As soon as he can, he'll give me a call back. Right? Choose the one that serves you best, because you don't know, when you use the word truth, we don't know which one is the actual truth, right? We only know the data.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think sometimes just knowing that I don't know why he didn't call, like, I don't know, is as important as knowing what I don't know.
Yeah. And so for the audience who's listening right now, I'm tracking with you, like I'm waltzing with you as you speak here. And so for the audience to just realize that we have this extraordinary opportunity of taking a look at life from a different position, from a different perspective, from a varied place that is familiar within us. And how in order for us to live our best life, which is why we're all here. I mean, my position is we are all love. There really is nothing else. And we just get distracted. I mean, that's my position. I'm madly in love with love inside my mind, inside my heart, inside my body, in nature, in the relationships, in having this conversation with you right now. I'm in love with this. So, but we have this opportunity, and it's people like Dr. Timerman that has this model, IAP. So, okay, we got to go there. We have to talk about the model now, please.
Okay, so the IAP model, the IAP was born from my relationship with my husband. So I'll just go from where it's nascent spaces. He and I once had this argument, and this was maybe 10 years ago now. And when we had the argument, I left the room, and in my head, it's clear as day that if I leave the room to show me that you care, you're going to follow me. Right? So my intentionality behind it is to show my frustration. My action is to leave, and my expectation attached to my intention is that you're going to follow me, because following me means that you care. When he didn't follow me, immediately, what did I think? Well, then you don't care. Right? Because that was, for me, no other possibility existed. This is my worldview. When I don't know what it was, if I got mad or if I started like hitting the cabinet doors in the kitchen or something happened, he came out. And when I asked, like, why did you not follow me? He said, well, you created space. And if I had created space, I would want you to respect me. Therefore, in respecting me, I didn't follow you. This was the first time that I noticed, okay, so something got lost in translation. And there were a couple other instances where I noticed, like, my perception of his behavior is very different from the intention he's verbalizing to me, and vice versa. So that's when I started noticing the three components. And I say that the intention and perception are internal factors, right? For intention, only I know what my intention is. Unless I tell you verbatim my intention, you cannot know it.
No. There's no reading minds here.
There is none. To us, things may seem obvious because that's our view of the world, but not everyone sees the world the same way that we do. Some people that we grew up with may share that exact point of view, but that's because we grew up together looking at things in the same way, right? So different cultures, different regions, so many other things can shift how we see the world. For me, even though both my husband and I are Brazilian, he's from Rio, I'm from São Paulo, right? We grew up very differently. My parents got divorced at a very early age. So my siblings and my sister kind of raised us a little bit. For him, his parents were together. So, and even though he had older siblings, they were older from his dad's side, so he grew up more just with his parents, so with the adults. So our style of communication is different, right? Our way, I'm very direct in how I talk. He isn't. His grandfather was a diplomat. So they learned to speak more diplomatically and dancing around with words, whereas I'm just a straight shooter. So my intentions would get lost in translation in his sea of seeing the world and vice versa. So perception is internal also, but to the person who is receiving it. And we cannot know how they perceive something unless we're curious to ask.
Yes.
The only external factor is the action itself, like me walking out. It's open to interpretation. What we've learned is that if I walk out, he follows. If he walks out, I stay, because we learn what the other person wants.
Exactly. Within yourselves and what is important. And what I love is this deep level of intentional relationship, honor of each other. And that is where love lands. That's where love lives. That is where that space for grace happens, with respect with intentional care for each other, and understanding that you're two different human beings, and that the way to love each other is in that form, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And, I'm just, as you were speaking, I'm thinking about relationships that fall apart and people give up, throw in the towel because they don't have the understanding that there's another view of this. There's something that I can intentionally go through within myself here to take on that self-awareness, that self-leadership of love, and then bring that into the conversation and communication.
What I love about the IAP model is that it works a lot on our awareness of how we communicate and becoming aware of how much we know how our loved one communicates. And it doesn't even need to be our loved one, right? I use it a lot at work with my employee for us to understand like each other's communication. I love the question, what you need from you to give you what you need.
That's so great. That again, slower, so the audience can write it down, because that is I remember when a friend asked me that in my 20s, it stopped me in my tracks, changed my perspective completely, and changed me. So I want you to say it slowly so we can all absorb it, please.
Okay. So the question, which is a great boundary setting question, is what do I need from you to give you what you need? It brings about that reciprocity, right? It's because sometimes I can share with you what I need from you, and you can say, I'm not capable of giving this. I'm capable of giving something else. Is that it suffices for you to give me what I need?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's about honor again. I mean, in the last 5 years of my life, you don't know this, but I have been down this pathway of learning. First of all, I felt like I was a kindergarten student. Then I felt like I was in university. And I'm getting close to my master's now. I don't think I'm at PhD level of learning to honor myself as a woman, to be very, very intentional and clear on what matters most in regards to my own mental health, physical health, and spiritual health on a daily action, discipline practice. So is there anything in your book about that? Because it's changed who I am. It's changed the vitality that I have from the moment I wake up in gratitude to the second I put my head down on the pillow. So I'm curious in regards to what you can contribute to me.
So I actually added 2 bonus worksheets on this book. And one of them, I call it, there's the me in 3D and the we in 3D. And the me in 3D essentially is identifying who I was, who I am, and who I want to become.
Beauty.
And I can think about that in general, like as a woman, I can think about that as a friend, as a partner, as in so many different ways, like a silly way, but one that was significant to me. So I grew up in a picky eater household, right? And so for the longest time, I was very much a picky eater. And I love that I get to say it in past tense. You heard me say I was, right?
I was with that. I caught,
and the concept, even with in relationship to food, I was very much a picky eater. I am much better at it. I want to become even more. So what shifted was my initial reaction to food. Before, when I would see something that I didn't know, my immediate response was, oh, you're not going to like this, which made me immediately reject it. I also felt a lot of judgment from people, and I would judge myself before they could judge me. Ooh. And I want to shift my mind frame. So with the help of my husband, who was very supportive, never necessarily judging, I went from, ugh, to, am I going to like this? Like, how can I know that I don't like something that I've never tried? Whereas before, I just knew I was not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a shift in your mind, right? We were talking earlier about how our mind changes our response. It was a shift in the initial response, that automatic response, which I needed to work on, of when I look at food. So I know today that if my immediate response to something new is, oh, I'm still not ready for that.
Yeah.
Right? I have
giving
to
yourself permission still.
I give myself permission still. I know it is not a finite response. It is not an all or nothing. Is I need to work on this, but I've come a long way from who I was.
Exactly.
So in the me in 3D, that's the first portion of it, who I was, who I am, and who I want to become. And within it, I have what I call MAC. What do I want to maintain? What do I want to amplify, do more of? And what do I want to change?
Oof, 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 oof. Those are delicious. Those are yummy. Those are like chocolate ganache dessert. I don't know if you've ever had that, but it is good, girl. It is really good. And so I just want to state at this moment that each one of us as women and men, it is our responsibility to be open to change. It is our responsibility to live this extraordinarily incredible life. And it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s. It doesn't matter if you're in your late 60s, 70s, 80s. This, what we're discussing here, is the door. I mean, everything to me is keys. And the keys, the key is love, of course. But, we have these doors of opportunity to walk through. And it's a decision. I love the way you explained that, because it really is clear that in that moment, I have a decision to make. And you have this incredible, loving husband who, loves you so much that he wants to support you through this transitional from where you were to where you are to where you're going. And to me, it's love that helps. It's the people around us that really can see us in that space, even before we get there. They believe in us so much. They love us so much that they hold this space. So that supports you too, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it's funny because as you're talking, so many things kind of came to my mind. And sometimes we're a construct of our experiences, right? I like to look at my life as a study and identify like different patterns. And we're a construct of our experiences. And sometimes if we've been hurt many times, we may fear losing love, and therefore we keep it at arm's length.
Yes.
Right? To kind of protect ourselves.
Yes.
And so it can become difficult to open myself up again for fear of either getting hurt or because I already know I am going to get hurt, so I may as well cut it off.
Right? Or create distance, or not get too close. Okay, let me just keep this detachment going on here. Let's just keep this space. Yes.
And I can say, like in some of my relationships, I love identifying what are the roles that we play, and we don't always play a role in anything, but sometimes we do. And a New Year activity that I had was, what did I want to leave behind last year into 2025, and what I want to bring with me into 2026. And because of the IAP and my, as I guess, mental health practitioners always being so worried about the other individuals in our lives, whenever I would see somebody who is threading the line of like, I wanted to make sure, no, but it's okay. No, but I know you interpreted it this way, but no, there's a different way of interpreting. And that helped to actually push them to the other side as opposed to this one, right? Because it became a lot. And so one of the things that I learned is I want to leave behind the over-explaining and allow the other person space to ask and be curious, because when I thought I was helping, maybe I wasn't.
Yes. Well, and, this life is such a learning, isn't it? Just to stay open and curious on how we can keep improving, keep getting better. And, there is a huge fine line between taking on the responsibility. I've been a business development trainer, coach, consultant for 35 years. So mine has been business. And when we want to make such a difference, sometimes we do push people away because we're almost just wanting them to get it. That's what it was like for me. And, when I had my first child, I remember I went back to consulting after, and I thought, I got to do things different here. I need to keep this energy bank full so I can be a phenomenal wife, an incredible mother, and also serve from my highest self as a business consultant. So I decided to do something different. I decided to let go to lead. So I decided to just step back. And I spent a whole year with that mantra: let go to lead, simplify to secure success was the next year. And just from holding that space and position, it became so much lighter, so much easier. And they took their own reins. And just stood up and became the leaders they were meant to be. And so that's a really vulnerable statement on your part too. It's beautiful.
And I love what you said. So I have the Dr. T and I have Patricia, right? Dr. T, is funny how I was talking to my little brother whom I'm visiting here in Seattle. And I was saying, like, as a therapist with my clients or in any consultation or as a professor, I have like the most amount of patience. I remember everything. I am able to allow you space. I'll go at your pace and not mine. In my personal life, oh goodness, right? In my personal life is the one that I then am implementing the things that I do in my professional life, in my personal. So when I talked about the Me in 3D, I have this website that is for like trainings and psychoeducational videos. And I have the Me in 3D there. And I talk about mantras, like you said, your mantra. And I say, mantra is the state of mind we want to be in. So we repeat it until it sinks in. Right? For the longest time, I was an all or nothing person, right? Like if you're going to work out, I worked out today, but I didn't work out tomorrow, I'm just not going to do it through the end of the week, right? Because I failed. So you know what? All or nothing. I actively changed it. I want to say it's been maybe 4 years now to better some than none. And whenever I'm doing something, like better some than none. Like if I'm going to go run, you better run for a minute than zero. Today, I'm able to differentiate between better some than none and all or nothing. Right? But that much is the state of mind you want to be in, you want to get into. One of my favorite ones that I created it with I call them my hub. They're my chosen family, these friends that I love and a wonderful niece that I have from them. And she was young, she, throwing a tantrum. And I said, continuous bad mood is a choice. And after saying that to her, I started saying that to myself. And I noticed sometimes things happen that will put me in a bad mood. And I have the right to be in the bad mood. How long I stay in that bad mood, that's a choice. It allows me to differentiate between an anxious moment when my anxiety is coming versus when I'm in a bad mood. And when I say to myself, continuous bad mood is a choice, I then follow up with what do I want to choose in this moment? Right? So what can I do if I want to choose to stay in this bad mood because it is serving me for some unforsaken reason? It's a choice, but I'm clear about this. If I want to change it, what can I do to help myself do it? So I'll put music on, I'll go take a walk, I'll go work out to let out all of my like angst or anger that's in. but what do I want to choose in that moment to choose differently?
Yeah. Well, this woman who gave me this key in thinking above the line is nature is my nourishment. I go out in nature and just receive the nourishment of nature. Just, does it for me. And sometimes it's just taking a bubble bath and putting on beautiful spiritual music to support me to just get in the present moment, get breathing. And sometimes it's yoga for me. And, I agree. And, just witnessing my mother and 2 other family members suffer from mental health issues it is a choice. It's a decision. And, so I want to share my mantra for this year because I love it. And I have a virtual assistant that I call my virtual assistant angel because she does everything for me. Thank you, God, for her. And so my new mantra is this. So if you put your hands up and do this. So freedom sticks. So bring your hands together in 2026. And I
love that.
Aiming higher and higher. So we love that. I know. And every year I come up with a new mantra and it grounds me. It supports me. For many years, I chose one word to ground myself. And now I choose something that's meaningful. I think everybody is looking for love, for freedom, for meaningful relationships and inner peace. And this position of supporting ourselves to just keep moving forward. And I think your profile there, it's IAP. And so your book, tell us about your book too.
So in my book, which by the way, I am coming out with the audiobook version of it, which I'm super excited about. In the book, it's supposed to be a practical book, right? So I talk a little bit about understanding our intentions, where they come from, what shapes them, as well as our perceptions, right? So one of the examples that I give when I go into triggers and defense mechanisms, I said that our life is a construct of our experiences. So let's say that I have never been cheated on before. And I go to either a party or a social gathering and my partner takes a phone call in a different room. I may not even notice but not care or think about, the reception was probably bad here, or it might be a work call and he needs privacy or whatever. However, if I've been cheated on before and I see my partner taking a phone call in the next room, now that's a suspicious behavior. Mm-hmm. And because of a previous experience, it gets linked, right? The meaning becomes associated there. It becomes a triggering thing. So a defense mechanism goes into, I need to question you. I need to defend myself. You're likely cheating. And now I need you to prove a negative, right? So our past experiences color our current experiences. So when I talk about triggers and defense mechanisms, part of my questions is the triggering behavior originating in the current relationship, or did it originate in a previous relationship that's now affecting the current relationship?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I ask myself the same question. I do. So, and I think that's a very powerful question of truth, because I think that what you're doing here is getting to the truth of the situation, right?
It's understanding how come, a defense mechanism is born because something happened that caused hurt or pain, right? So we create that defense mechanism to protect ourselves, but we become so used to it that even though the cause of hurt and pain may no longer exist, the defense mechanism is so automatic, it becomes a way of life, right? Part of when you go to therapy to process things, pausing, understanding yourself, even through the IAP model, is you become aware of the defense mechanism, right? At first, you may not notice it, but now you start to notice it. And once you start noticing it, it's as if it slows down right? Because with awareness comes action. I like to say waka, with awareness comes action. As you start noticing it, then you go to the next step, which is taking action toward it. Right? How to maybe pause it. So I say it starts with postvention. You only notice it after the fact. Then you get into intervention as you're doing it. So then go into prevention, and it oscillates between the three. So I talk about those, and then I talk about the action part of it. And I think I love this quote that I wrote, which is actions can always speak louder than words when their intentions are clear. People love to say actions speak louder than words, but if I don't know what your actions are saying, not all actions have one universal meaning. So they become subject to interpretation. I think that the saying actions speak louder than words, which has that implication that I know what your actions are saying, becomes appropriate if you are saying something to me and you're acting accordingly versus you're saying something to me, but your actions are not backing it up. That's when actions can speak louder than words.
Yes. And yes, I agree about 1,000% on that one. And to me, that's, well, in business, especially the world that I have lived in for a very long time, is integrity, is functioning from an integrous, respectful position. And there's lots to be learned in business when that is out. I had one partnership that the words did not match the actions, and I closed that partnership down, and it was very affluent business. And because of my own moral compass and my own position of living with my love-inspired leadership, I left. So that's huge. The place that I'd love to go, just as we are traveling here, is, do you have daily rituals? Because to me, these mean so much to me. Do you have daily rituals that you practice, that you implement in regards to your whole entire position and living legacy, that you practice for yourself?
Yes. So I have what I call, I have my morning routine. When I was in session with a client, we talked about what is our mood kit. So my struggle is with anxiety, right? So anxiety, she's there with me. She's not always there with me, but sometimes she comes. I call it a cognitive filter, because my anxiety distorts time. It makes it feel as if things are urgent, and a minute feels like it's been 30 minutes when it's only been a minute. So one of my cognitive filters is how urgent is my urgency, and it lets me know whether it is my anxiety versus when something is really urgent. But when I would wake up before, the first thing that I would do is open my emails, see my clients, my calendar for the day, and the business bank account, right? Immediately, open my eyes, dive into the world of business. And I said, okay, that's unhealthy for me. In session with a client, we talked about what is your morning routine going to be versus mine. Now, this client, it was wake up and all depression thoughts would take over. And so I said, when you wake up, prior to anything else, she would have a positive affirmation cards. So before your depression can talk to you, you grab a positive affirmation card and you read it, right? And then becomes your mantra for the day. My morning routine. So I have a lot of energy. And my anxiety transforms into energy. So the first thing that I want to do is disperse it. So I wake up and had this morning routine for 2 years now. I do 100 squats, 10 push-ups, and 100 sit-ups. Only after that can I look at my phone. Then I go downstairs.
So you do the physical exercise as soon as you get out of bed. Do you do it before you have anything else?
Before anything. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and I morning routine.
Love it.
That is before anything else, because it keeps me from, I cannot look at my phone until I've done my morning routine, until I've released that energy. Then my husband and I have that daily, did I tell you that I love you today? Right? It became part of our daily routine and it's not something that we have to do. It's something that we get to do.
Yes. The key word, get, opportunity, get.
Yeah. And one thing that I'm very intentional about is, and I talk about it in chapter 3. So chapter 3 are all the different strategies in how to apply the intention, action, perception. I have the 3 columns of communication, which is for the person wanting to communicate their frustrations. We talked already about the rule of 3 interpretations. I'll talk in a little bit about the preamble. There's reflecting. I go through the do's and don'ts of I statements. But the one that I do very mindfully is gratitude. So the purpose of gratitude, right? Why is it even important? We're often more focused on the things that frustrate us than not, right? It's easier sometimes for us to look at the things that have not been done as opposed to the things that have been done. So the first aspect of gratitude is acknowledgement, right? When I go to the kitchen and my husband made the coffee already, thank you for making the coffee. Right? It's something that the other person did. So let me acknowledge them. Let me thank them for it. The second aspect of gratitude is to kind of break a classical conditioning. So if we're in a frustrating relationship where we fight a lot, the moment that the other person is going to open their mouths, my entire body may contract and I am ready for a fight. So because of that, I may not necessarily listen to what is being said, but I will listen to what I think is going to be said. It may shift a little bit how I respond, right? It can pause that classical conditioning. So the part of the gratitude is that it's making sure that I allow ambiguity to not let my body contract immediately, so I can listen to what is being said as opposed to listen to what I think is going to be said.
Yeah, that's profound. And gratitude has made the biggest difference in my life in the last 3 years. Every morning I've trained my thought system and it happens automatically now, which is so incredible. That as soon as I wake up, I look for gratitude. And sometimes it's just the ocean air. I love the ocean. I live about 5 minutes from the ocean. And I can just, when I'm first conscious, I can just smell the ocean. And sometimes I just go, I'm so grateful to live so close to the ocean because I love walking along the ocean and seeing the water and nurture. So I take at least 10 focuses when I wake up. And that's if I wake up at 2:30 or 3, go back to sleep, and when I get up. And it's changed my perspective on life. And it's been a profound recalibration of my thought processes, because I used to go to pre-planning and preparing. Okay, so I'm going to go a meeting with this person today. I'm doing this business strategy set. So I would go to that, and now I don't even go there. It's profound. So gratitude is very powerful.
You know, what came to my mind that's very interesting. I was talking with my father-in-law. I have a rule in my house, and the rule is leave the water, like, in the fridge, you have the water and the ice, the crushed ice, always leave it in the water. And the times that he's there and he goes and he puts on the ice and he stays in the ice, and I just go without looking to put my water bottle to refill, ice comes out. So I get frustrated. And once I remember talking to him, he's like, but you never notice when I put it back in the water because it's just there. And I said, you are so right. I don't necessarily notice the things that are done right, if I may, or the things that I ask for because they are there. So you forget, right? And what you're saying for when you're talking about like the things that I'm noticing is noticing what is right. Because sometimes we're so focused on problem solving. And if I'm focused on problem solving, I'm focused on the problem to solve versus what is it that I don't need to solve? What is it that is going so amazingly well? So taking that time to pause and understand what I have and what I'm grateful for during the day, especially the days that I feel defeated and that I don't have anything. It's so important.
Well, I think it's changed my perspective on life all day, every day, and highly recommend it. I just went to a conference, a positive psychology conference in Boston, and I had the honor of being the MC and speaking at that conference and listened to a lot of incredible speakers from around the world. And one of the gentlemen, they call him Dr. Gratitude. And he had so many incredible stories to be told about how people healed themselves of debilitating mental health issues simply through this concept of focusing on gratitude, feeling gratitude within your body, having that intentional space to allow gratitude to be a part of your days. And it was so inspiring to me.
Yeah, think about, I love looking at the findings and more recent findings in neuroplasticity, right? The relationship of the mind and the brain is like, the brain doesn't fact check, right? As the mind is thinking, the brain is just typing it away. Like at that moment in time in real life is just typing it away. Our neurological like transmitter, they're just like, if I am having intrusive thoughts, my brain is just giving more space for the intrusive thoughts to grow. So when I like to say, when life gives you stresses, use one of your five senses, and our senses are fact checkers. If I say things out loud and do factual affirmations, like what is data, what is assumption, what is true, and what is my creation, that's when I kind of tell my brain, wait, stop. All right, now, so when I'm thinking, focusing on gratitude, my brain in real time is also typing and creating more neurological pathways for me to think and focus more on gratitude. Now, I think we said earlier in this, in our podcast, is our mind gives a message to our brain, which reacts accordingly. I remember in college, my brain sometimes will tell my mind will tell my brain, you're bored. And then I would do this. The moment I did this, I would start doodling and stop paying attention. Mm-hmm. The times when my mind would tell my brain, I'm bored, and I did this, and I'm like, no, I would stay focused. And sometimes I needed to do this a few times, right? But again, our mind tells our brain stuff that then tells our body how to respond. So how is it that positive versus negative thinking would not affect our body?
It does. I mean, there is extraordinary science of neuroscience, because there's many people that spoke on that stage that had profound things to say about how the brain works. It does change our experience, our physiology, our body is by making those decisions to focus on what matters most. Mm-hmm. And I think the work you're doing is miraculous. I do. I think the work you're doing is supporting people to realize what's important, and also to have the tools, the strategies, and the processes to discover, learn, and implement within their own self-practice, their own self-leadership, their own self-loving leadership within their lives. And isn't that why we're here? I mean, it is. And I know that you feel very blessed for the contributions that you are honored. I mean, this is your gift to the world. I know it's your living legacy. Like I said earlier, I can feel it. And, you know, I'm so honored that you spent this time with me. I have more insights, more understanding. And one of my missions here is to support women to come back to who they are, to come back, circle back to be their authentic selves. And that's the journey that I have been on. And I have this incredible honor to support and guide women that way. And we're in this together, aren't we? We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
So just thank you. And I just really appreciate these powerful frameworks, your wisdom. And how do people receive the information? Like, you have a free access to an actionable communication strategy piece. So do you want to tell them about what their gift is?
Sure, absolutely. So I've created I have this training platform I talked about before, which is www.advocate2create.teachable.com. And over there, you will see the rule of 3 interpretations. You can have access not only to seeing a video about me talking about it, but also the worksheet that I created, because I am a kinesthetic learner and a visual learner. So I like having worksheets. It helps. So I developed in chapter 4 of my book, it's all the worksheets for all the different strategies that I've talked about. You can find me at the name of my firm is Advocate to Create. I think we advocate for ourselves, with ourselves, to create the change we want. So if you go to www.advocate2create.com, that's advocate2create.com, you can find information there.
Beautiful. And it will be all in the show notes as well for the audience. They can receive your incredible gift you have for them. And I highly recommend that people go visit your website and receive the information that they can benefit from all of this. And for the audience to know too, once again, I am providing my gift to you, which is 21 days of above the line living. And this is your pathway to inner peace, freedom, purpose, presence, and to be your own love-inspired leader within your own life. So I think this is not the first interview we're going to do, Dr. Patricia Timerman. And I want you whenever. I know. I want you to come back. I already know what I want to talk about the next time is this authenticity piece, this position. And so when is your book going to be ready on Audible or audio? Because that's what I listen to, is Audible books on my jogs every morning.
So I am aiming for mid-March. I am actually working on the audio manuscript because I'm having to shift the worksheets for how to respond by listening, even though there will be an accompanying PDF for those who want to do it. And then after that, I'll be working on my second book because I already have so many ideas of other strategies we get to implement into the IAP model.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And thank you for living your legacy. That's just so inspiring. And to my audience, I want to leave you with this last question, which I do with every episode of Love-Inspired Leadership. And how might translating intention into understanding change one conversation in your life this week? So I'm going to leave you with that. And until next time, thank you for being on the Love-Inspired Leadership Podcast. Thank you.
Maybe we could finish with your mantra.
Oh, yes, let's do it. Okay, freedom. This is my mantra for this year. Freedom, if you want to put your hands up, freedom sticks. Bring your hands together in 2026. And we are aiming higher and higher and higher. Thank you. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on the Love-Inspired Leadership Podcast. If today's episode stirred something in your soul, share it with someone who's ready to aim higher. Keep holding your vision, anchor in your truth, and take intentional, inspired action, because love is all there is.
Hey, I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we are honored to have Carolyn Cooper's Love-Inspired Leadership show as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift fold. Till then, stay high vibe and keep sharing your life.